So, comedian and talk show host Bill Maher visited the White House and met with President Trump directly. His takeaways from that meeting just might shock you. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about comedian and talk show host Bill Maher visiting the White House and meeting with President Trump directly. Now, as I said from the beginning, the takeaways, what Bill Maher learned from the meeting just might shock you. Now, if you ask me, am I shocked or not? Not really. You see, although there's quite a bit of anti-Trump coverage on Bill Maher's show, he's not really the biggest Donald Trump fan in the world. He is still kind of a normal liberal person. He's not one of these guys that has Trump derangement syndrome. Put it to you this way. He may criticize Trump on the show and say some negative things, but he won't just melt down at the mere sight of Trump. A lot of these weirdos out here in the world still wearing the mask as big as their whole head and more, covering the Adam's apple all up to the top of their head, the hair, the hat, all of that. These people are really crazy. If they see Trump, a picture of Trump, if someone says Trump's name, they fall completely apart. I'm sure that therapist couches are lined with those who have Trump derangement syndrome in the late stages of it. That's not Bill Maher, so I'm not really surprised at what he said here, although it's very enlightening. Now, before I go any further, let's get to the actual clip. If you want to see these clips without my commentary, link, as always, will be in the description. If you're an IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
At one point, we were walking through it is an amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that.
Let's pause for a minute. Now, of course, this refers to the whole January 6th thing that the media have been pushing for the past 4 years, like pretty much every day. And what was the main talking point? Oh, well, Trump didn't want to admit defeat. His supporters didn't want to admit defeat. They don't believe they lost the election. Now, Trump just killed that whole narrative right there, in my humble opinion. And before I continue to go right back to the media, that same media that have been talking about January 6th for years and years and years, talking about how these guys are election deniers and they try to steal the election. They try to have an insurrection. They won't say anything about people like Hillary Clinton denying the 2016 election results, nor would they say anything about Stacey Abrams when she ran for governor and got curb stomped by Brian Kemp. She said the same thing, that she did not lose the election. So it's okay when they do it, but when we do it or even allude to it, it's a problem. But I digress.
He didn't get mad. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy.
Now, look, my question would be, what did you not like about President Trump? When you are seeing things that you're responding to, is it in the media? Is it a clip? Is it a provocative question that's asked by some random activist journalist? Like, what are we talking about exactly? What did you not like about President Trump?
Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, he said, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He'll just go on. Not at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing, people whose response to things you say just doesn't track, like, what?
Because they don't care. They're not really listening. They just hear you talking, and then when you stop talking, they'll say some random thing that they think applies to the conversation, but they were not actually listening to you, so they don't really care to say something that is congruent with what you were saying. But President Trump is exactly who you see and what we the people see. What we see is a regular person that we can talk to. Okay, he's a billionaire, super famous or whatever, but he has that human connection that a lot of high up people do not have. And since they don't have that kind of connection, they don't understand what we, the people, actually need. Therefore, when they're in office, they don't do very well because they don't really understand their constituency.
None of that with him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown. So's mine.
All right, so that's one clip. Let's keep on going. We got some more. I think we got about 2 more. And of course, I will link to the full video. It's like a 13-minute segment. I'll link to that in the box or in the bio, IG, Facebook. Let's keep on rocking.
Moving Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, loved it. The border did need to be controlled. I'm glad the cops are getting their morale back. DEI had gone too far. Biological men shouldn't be playing women's sports. Europe should pay for their defense. And of course, it makes sense that Arab countries should take in Arab refugees, like the million Syrians who wound up in Germany when...
Let's pause for a minute. Now, a lot of what he's saying, this is just common sense things that people are going to say, whether you're on the left or the right. If you're not blinded by ideology, that's pretty much what it's going to be. Some things in there you may not necessarily agree with, but the average person will hear that and think that it makes sense.
Saudi Arabia took none. He said to me, you're right, they took none. I said, well, you should remind your boyfriend in Saudi Arabia that the next time you see him.
All right. Okay. So what's going to be the response to that? And of course, the so-called boyfriend comment is going to be to Mohammed bin Salman. And that guy right there is not who you want to mess with. They iced Khashoggi right in the consulate over there. Might have been in Turkey, and nobody did a thing. Nobody did anything. They cut that man up right in the consulate, and nobody did a thing. It was some think pieces over here in the U.S. about that, but ultimately nothing was done. Because what are you going to do? Disrupt the entire world's oil supply over a journalist?
He laughed. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. That's just how it went down.
Right on, because he is, again, just like you and I, he's a regular person. Well, I don't know about Bill Maher being regular, but that's what Trump is, and that's what we see. That's what we want. We don't want the standard stuffed shirt politicians. Now, speaking about Trump being, personable, funny guy, let's get to this last clip right here.
Before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy.
A pretty good list so far, stone cold dummy, sleazebag. I like that.
Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog. His show is dead. There's 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did.
Hey, you know what? I love that because Bill Maher's a good sport, and so is Trump. These are two men. We could talk crazy, we could say whatever we want, but we're not going to be so offended and so butthurt and holding the grudge. Nah, it's okay. I sign it. Go ahead. And Bill Maher not going to sit there and start crying. I like that. I like that a lot.
Which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him? What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a fuck.
There we go. So shout out again to Bill Maher. And again, I'll link to the full thing in the box so you can see it there without my comment. You can see it in full with the full context. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out Bill Maher. Shout out to President Trump for having a meeting and everything be cool and there's no problems, no extra drama. It's just cordial, professional. It's just the way things should be, in my humble opinion. Everything shouldn't be so fight. I hate you, you hate me, all this, that. It shouldn't even really be about that. It should be more people just being able to get along and communicate with each other without all the extra back and forth. That's just my humble opinion, and I like what Bill Maher did here. I want to see a lot more of that. I want to see a lot more of the left and the right coming together, having the conversation without it being so much hatred and vitriol to the point where we can't even have peace without the police having to get involved and weapons having to get involved and things of this nature. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what Bill Maher said about President Trump? Does it match up with what you think already? Does it not really match up? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I love it. Like it, I love it. I want more of it. I want to see more left and the right, center, whatever, coming together and exchanging ideas. Any kind of grievances, any kind of problems, let's talk about it without it being so much hatred involved. I think that is a good thing for this country. And it's the beauty of our country. It's not just like China, one-party system. Although they're trying to make it be about a one-party system, if we have at least, at bare minimum, left and the right, two sides of an issue rather than just one voice, that's good for everyone. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.